Welcome and good morning. I am Josh Coyote, today's worship associate. Today is October 24th, our October 24th online service. Molly Brinkerhoff, Vic Allen, and I bring you the service from the church's sanctuary. So welcome this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in virtual community. Our weekly announcements are, first, I would like everyone to sign into the chat box to the right of your screen. This will let us know who's joining us. We will be having sorrows, concerns, and joys, but that will happen after Time for All Ages. At that time, we'll read those that have been posted in the chat box. When you share in the chat box, please indicate if it's a sorrow, concern, or joy. And there is a delay between when they are posted and when we can read them, so please post them before the sorrows, concerns, and joys time. Also, we need to mention how we stay afloat. There are several ways you can donate to this church. You can go to our church website and click on the Give button in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on this button, you can pay via PayPal. And you can also still send in your pledge or other donation by mail to the church's P.O. box number, which you can find at our website. We apologize for not being able to get an order of service out. We had some technical difficulties. We will be reopening on November 7th in the sanctuary. There have been announcements sent out. People will be required to wear masks who are in the audience. We're having construction upstairs, so there's no RE, and there are other details about that that have been sent out via the newsletter. Due to Jessica not having laryngitis, there will be no words for any of the music today, so you have to sing along by yourself. We will now move into the sacred time of our worship. As I ring the peace bowl 3 times, take deep breaths and relax so we can move into worship. For this moment in time, let go of your anxieties, fears, and worries. Be in this moment.
What do we need when the land is dry? Where do we go when the sun is high? Many will answer, water is for life. Water for you, water for me, water for the animals, water for the trees, water for everyone in society. Our water clean, treating water as a treasure in our urban community. The careful use of this resource is now on you and me, conserving water for a happier Fiji. What do we need when the land is dry? Where do we go when the sun is high? Many will answer, water is for life. Water for you, water for me, water for the animals, water for the trees, water for everyone in society. We are working together to keep our water of this resource is now on you and me, conserving water for a happier Fiji. We are working together to keep our water clean, treating water as a treasure in our urban community. The careful use of this resource is now on you and me, conserving water for a happier Fiji. We need clean water for a healthier Fiji.
Since we are not all together, I will read our church covenant for us all. Love is the spirit of this community, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We will now be lighting our chalice. If you have a candle or chalice available, feel free to light yours along with us. We gather as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. Here we pull together as a single body, flowing together for a time. Together we are a stream, at times even a river. For with our shared force we can travel toward oceans of meaning and seas of connection. Our chalice frame represents that river.
Good morning. Our call to worship today is called All Water is One Water by Mel Hoover and Rose Eddington. Water unites us. All water is one water, shape-shifting as it goes on in an unending cycle. The stream we gather by unites us with all the waters of the world, for all of life depends on water. That's why this common, everyday element on which our very lives depend is sacred. In our thankfulness for water, let us remember to honor, cherish, and care for it, for our own lives, for all life touched by water, and for those who come after us.
Today's Time for All Ages is We Are Water Protectors, written by Carol Lindstrom, illustrated by Michaela Goad. Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. We come from water, It nourished us inside our mother's body, as it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land, spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage! I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together. To stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, lakes, the earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nokomis told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. The end.
This is a very special time in our congregation where each of us has an opportunity to share major events in our lives, our joys, our concerns, and our sorrows, so we can all be uplifted by our UU community. As Vic reads the sorrows, concerns, and joys, I will light a candle.
We have a joy from Victoria McDonald. Yesterday's opera, Fire Shut Up in My Bones, was spectacular. An all-black cast impressively handled a difficult subject, and we're lucky to have access to such art at Edwards Theater. Victoria also shares another joy. My 10-year-old dog, Honey, still runs and enjoys life to the fullest. Animals bring love and contentment to humans, and I would second that, being a personal friend of Honey's. She is an absolutely wonderful dog and a constant reminder of the joy of being around animals. That's it for this end.
We light one more candle for all those sorrows, concerns, and joys we hold in our hearts and are not ready to share at this time. No, we lift up our love for you, and we are all in this together.
Our reading this morning is by Robert Frost. The well was dry beside the door, and so we went with pail and can across the fields behind the house to see the brook. It ran, not loath to have excuse to go, because the autumn eve was fair, though chill, because the fields were ours, and by the brook our woods were there. We ran as if to meet the moon that slowly dawned behind the trees, the barren boughs without the leaves, without the birds, without the breeze. But once within the wood we paused, like gnomes that hid us from the moon, ready to run to hiding new, with laughter when she found us soon. Each laid on other a staying hand, to listen ere we dared to look, and in the hush we joined to make, we heard, we knew we heard the brook. A note as from a single place, a slender tinkling fall that made, now drops that floated on the pool, like pearls, and now a silver blade.
We're clear.
Do you think about water? This was asked of us rather roughly by our local Sarajevo guide, a woman who was about a child of 8 during the Bosnian War. She was a very thought-provoking guide who knew and had experienced her country. She told us how they had to walk miles to get drinking water and face possible gunfire to get to the river. I don't think she thought very well of us Americans. I'm sure she thought we were spoiled and had never gone through tough times. She was probably right about our group. When she asked, "Do you think about water?" I was the only one who raised their hand. While I have never experienced a lack of water, I have thought a lot about water since my college years. I have an affinity for water. I love water and think of it often. I recognize how precious it is, as you can see in this glass. So again, I ask, do you think about water? So let's talk about water. Water is of major importance to all living things. In some organisms, up to 90% of their body weight comes from water. Up to 60% of the human adult body is water. According to H. Mitchell from the Journal of Biological Chemistry, the brain and heart are composed of 73% water, and the lungs are about 83% water. The skin contains 64% water, muscles and kidneys are 79% water, and even our bones are watery at 31%. Each day, humans must consume a certain amount of water to survive. Of course, this varies according to age and gender, and also by where someone lives. Generally, an adult male needs about 3.2 quarts a day, while a female needs about 2.3 quarts. And water serves a number of essential functions to keep us all going. A vital nutrient to the life of every cell acts first as a building material. It regulates our internal body temperature by sweating and respiration. The carbohydrates and proteins that our bodies use as food are metabolized and transported by water in the bloodstream. It acts as a shock absorber for spine, brain, and a fetus, and it forms saliva and lubricates joints and waters the throat. We use water to drink, to bathe, to clean, to cook, to wash dishes, and to water yards. From a spiritual perspective, according to the spiritual networks, planet Earth is seen as an irregular ball immersed in water. If the sacred gift of Earth is life, then water is the custodian of life. Atmospheric space, too, consists of elements of water in vapor or in gaseous form. Therefore, water is the reconnecting element between our materialistic life and the spiritual world. The spirit of life travels through all living organisms, depositing active materials that consequently give individuals life, along with the sacredness and potential it holds. All of these activities are facilitated by the presence of water. A huge body of water connects Africa to America, and through the conventional systems, Water connects mountains with valleys, plants with animals, by sharing products or byproducts essential to each. Hence, water facilitates the natural phenomenon of interdependence. This all ties into our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. When we look around the world, people have gone to great lengths to obtain water. In Africa, people recognized and respected bodies of water as their source of spirituality. For example, in Lake Victoria, originally was called, now I'm going to butcher this, Nalabula, which literally means the home of spirituality. Bodies of water were owned and protected by communities, and the people worshiped the spirit of water freely. All activities relating to water were conducted in accordance with people's customs and cultural beliefs. Unfortunately, the introduction of Western civilization to Africa changed native people's attitudes and rights to water as a natural resource. The sacred relationship between people and water ended with the new political governance. Water became a commodity to be taxed. Commercial fishing was introduced. Corporations were established to process and supply fresh water for payment. Western religious teachings demonized native cultural practices, and hence the indigenous attitude and moral responsibility toward water as a sacred being gradually changed. Religious teachings associated cultural beliefs and practices with Satan and primitiveness. In reaction, many native people adopted a new religion, language, and lifestyle. Chief Tamale Buwaya of Buganda said, "Water is one of the mysterious gifts of nature that supports and holds life on earth. Many indigenous communities knew the values of water a long time ago, and to them, water was considered to be the source of life. On the surface, water can be seen as food, a means of transport, a ground for recreation, or an element for cleansing, purification, and initiation in cultural ceremonies. But a deeper analysis into the values of water reveal that water is a sacred being that holds life on earth. A seed in the soil does not germinate until it receives water, which demonstrates that it is the spirit of water that ignites the production of life." As we move on to Peru, when people think of Peru, they think of Machu Picchu. But the Quechua people, the actual people over who the Incas or the royalty ruled, created engineering marvels to bring water to remote areas in the sacred valley. Springs of water are the life-giving element. How would drinking water be made accessible in this mountainous region? 5 miles from Cusco in Tamboche, while the exact function of the site is uncertain, it may have served as a defensive outpost to Cusco, a spa for the elite Incan political leaders, and a temple dedicated to the water, or it could have been all three. One thing is certain, it held great meaning for the Incas, signaled by its huge double doorway, a feature reserved for places of importance. But it was also thought to have been a place to bathe in an attempt to clean the mind and spirit of evil. Legend has it that the spring water here was never run dry, sparking the belief that it is also a possible fountain of youth. Also, there are 2 waterfalls for bathing, one for males and one for females. And Vic's going to put up a picture quickly for you to look at. A fun fact, if you fill 2 empty bottles from these 2 different waterfalls, they fill up at the exact same time, a testament to the engineering of the diversion of water from the ancient Incas. The clear and abundant water that flows at Tamboche originates from nearby thermal springs. The aqueducts and canals are built in such a way that the water flows unhindered to a little waterfall at the bottom of the structure, once used for ceremonial purposes. The Inca worshipped water as a source of life, one of the pillars of the Andean conception of the world. Also in Peru is another amazing feat called tapón. The original purpose of this site, too, is unknown. Even the original name of the site is lost. The name Tapón comes from the nearby town of Tapón, although our guide, who was half Quechua, called it the Temple of Water. Additionally, this site built on a water spring is home to one of the largest irrigation works in the terraces, with a great distribution of outdoor water channels, is a masterpiece of water management. The intricate irrigation and water channels found here still function centuries later. These are great examples of the Quechua architects' ability to harmonize constructions with landscape, creating a space where the sound of the water echoes in the canals, resulting in a beautifully peaceful atmosphere. And I can attest to that. And we're going to watch a short video of how beautiful this is. Now let's move on to Hawaii. To Hawaiians, water was and is sacred. For centuries, native Hawaiians thrived in harmony with one of the island's most precious resources, fresh, cold water flowing from Hawaii's highest peaks to the ocean. They fished in streams and estuaries and used the fresh water to grow taro, a starchy root crop that's sacred to the Hawaiian people. They believe that water can't be owned. It's a public trust resource that belongs to everyone, including future generations. Hawaiian agriculture centered around the taro, a crop that grew best with an abundant supply of fresh water. Water, therefore, became a symbol of abundance and prosperity. The Hawaiian word wawa, a reduplication of the term for water, meant wealth, reflecting the literal seat of riches in Hawaiian society. The importance of water shaped ancient laws and justice. Property and legal rights centered as much on water use as on land use and possession, the same as in the Western tradition. Hawaiians respected the sanctity of water and severely punished violators. An individual who broke an irrigation dam to gain an unfair quantity of water could be killed for the offense. Though punishments could be extreme, disputes over water were rare in ancient times. Water was understood to be an important resource to be protected and cared for and shared. The water needs of taro spurred Hawaiians to some of their greatest engineering and construction achievements. They developed sophisticated irrigation systems that supplied communities of farmers and kept terraces flooded with slowly circulating water. The building of an awa, irrigation ditches or water courses, required the labor and planning of the whole community. Workers were recruited from the areas benefiting from this new irrigation ditch, and greater rights to the water could be gained by those who supplied more workers. Water rights followed the number of laborers rather than the area of land worked. So are you now thinking of water? You should. Our own Snake River Plains aquifer is very important to our own well-being. Without it, what would we drink? How would we bathe and wash our clothes, brush our teeth, water our yards? The Snake River Aquifer is a large reservoir of groundwater underlying the Snake River Plain here in Idaho. Most of the water in the aquifer comes from rain and melting snow that flows onto the plain from the Snake River, the Big Lost River, and the Bruno River. Measuring about 400 miles from east to west, it is an important water source for agricultural irrigation in the plains. In the part of the aquifer that lies beneath us, the eastern Snake River Plain aquifer, it is a remarkable aquifer of great resource and economic significance. For about 100 miles downstream from Milner Dam in the vicinity of Twin Falls, an estimated total volume of approximately 200 billion cubic feet of water enter the Snake River from the gigantic springs on the north side of the canyon. And this is the well-known Thousand Springs area. Here is a picture of that. I'm going to let it. Yet many in our community don't respect this source of water. We waste it, and that will be to our peril. The aquifer is shrinking and is getting polluted. We think it is boundless, but it is not. It depends so much on our winter snowpack, which is shrinking as well. My son, who is a glaciologist, said, "Water is going to be the new gold." So I ask you to look for ways to save water in your own life. Take less or shorter showers. Turn off the water between the start of washing hands and teeth and the end. When washing dishes, figure out ways to minimize water use. Don't water your sidewalks and driveways. Water your yard in the most economical way. So I invite you to think about water. And let us all start thinking of water as sacred again. Our closing words today are from a quote from the website called Healing Earth. Science helps us know the properties and function of water in the natural world. Ethics helps us decide how to preserve, protect, and distribute Earth's water resources. Spirituality helps us identify our core convictions about the meaning and value of water. If we genuinely hold that water has intrinsic value, it will be demonstrated in how we act. Our actions will express a spirituality of respect for Earth's water resources. Conversely, if we routinely act in ways that misuse water, we will display an inner spirit that lacks respect for water, regardless of what we may say about its value. Paying attention to how we act puts us in closer touch with our operating spirituality. Greater awareness of our inner spirit helps us identify the strengths of our true convictions.
We will extinguish the chalice now. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Feel free to join us with our virtual coffee hour, there should be a link to it on our website. And now for our postlude.
Dear water, it was hard to get you. Waking up at dawn, buckets on our heads, donkeys loaded with jerrycans. Miles we walked on the scorching heat to look for you, dear water. At last you came, sweet water. Our backs are rested. The miles are no more. Diseases are gone, for you are closer to us. Dear water, you are such a blessing.